Call to order tonight's special call meeting of the City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn, Deputy Mayor James Gully, Dan Hall,
Present.
Marlon Coleman,
Here.
Janie Boydston,
Here.
Wayne Johnson,
Here.
Leanne Langston,
Here.
Ivory Van,
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here. Item number 1.
Hold a public hearing to receive input and comments from citizens and discuss the City of Muskogee budget for fiscal year 2015-2016, as well as the proposed budgets for the Muskogee Parking Authority and the Muskogee Municipal Authority, and take any necessary action.
Mr. Howard Brown.
Well, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Howard Brown, City Manager. As required by the city's charter, I'm required to provide you with a budget, and this meets the requirement of that, and state law requires that it be balanced. And I'd like to go through a presentation. As you know, as you know, this is the budget presentation that we do annually. List of the positions that we have citywide, the number of FTEs. We have approximately 455 full-time employees. I'm just trying to get through the, I'm sorry, 459 to be exact, 27 part-time and 88 temps. We have a number of vacant positions that are currently open, approximately 45 to be exact. Organizational chart of the city. What are we going to try to do? We're going to talk about accomplishments. We're going to talk about challenges. We're going to talk about goals, budgeted funds, revenues, capital outlay, and our next date to discuss this matter. What did we do? We did a lot in 2015, guys. Departments have really done what I've asked, which was reduce departmental spending, and departmental spending over the last 2 years have gone down, and this year it looks like it's about $429,000 less than budgeted. We've implemented Phase 1A of the Urban Renewal Plan, which is making way for a 102,000 square foot shopping center right across from Walmart and Best Buy. Currently, the juvenile detention center is currently located there. We've acquired 3 corners of Highway 69 and Shawnee Avenue, which will be primed for retail development and housing, is our hope. The Elliott Street Detention Project is well on its way, and we're proud that we're getting that taken care of. The East Side Interceptor sewer improvements were done. 43rd and 45th Street improvements, as you know, we had a partnership with the Port Authority who helped us with an application to the EDA in which we were awarded. The AIM Gateway projects are in the process of being funded. We made application to the Muskogee Foundation, which hopefully next week they will approve the funding for it. Wayfinding signage, we have been working hard with our partner, the Chamber of Commerce, who has been instrumental in spearheading those efforts to allow visitors to Muskogee to find downtown and other areas of interest in Muskogee, working with the planning department, Gary Garvin and his guys. Collection system evaluation rehab project. I know, one of our most important aspects is stuff you can't see. These infrastructure improvements are very critical to the city's sustainability and promoting economic development. And Martin Luther King Street improvement. That project is well underway. With the latest rain has subsided, at least for now. We're moving. We're about 25% through that project with a completion date of the end of this year. Waterline improvements. We are doing the waterline improvements on 24th Street. The Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center is well underway. It will be completed or substantially completed in March of 2016. The skate park at Robinson Park, it's been completed, and it is a wonderful site. If you go, you'll see it's well utilized and a needed addition to that park. We created a retail business enterprise department, as you know, to bring focus to several areas, retail development, housing, airport, civic center, and downtown development. Foundation 400 program. This is a program that is managed by the planning department. They've done a good job with it. It's funded by the Muskogee Foundation. We're knocking down about 20 houses approximately each month through that program funding, and with the staff spearheading and ensuring and managing those projects. Housing rehab program and revitalization program. We are rehabbing houses for folks in our community, which is something that needs to be done in all areas. First Responders Training Center, a big accomplishment. The fire department requested this. We had bifurcated funding from the CIP sales tax, voter-approved CIP sales tax, and City of Muskogee Foundation. They broke ground. They just hosted last month their first training. You should have pictures. In my weekly update, I try to provide you what some of the updates that the departments are actually carrying out. Housing Incentive Program, which is a program we're about to turn a corner with, and I'm hoping that this program will get better. Professional management of Love Hatbox Sports Facilities Complex. As you know, as a strategic goal, we wanted to position Hatbox to become a moneymaker, and we entered into a contract with Sports Facilities Management, which is doing a pretty good job. They started off kind of slow, but based on their monthly reports, it looks like that their revenue performance looks a lot better than what it was the month before. So challenges, sales tax, of course. We are still actually in a flat sales tax economy. We've had an increase. It has been a positive increase, and we had 11 months of consistent sales tax, additional retail sales in the city, which thank God. Balancing the budget is one challenge, and ensuring that we complete these capital improvement projects, because about $39 million of these projects is mandated by the state of Oklahoma. External agency funding. Right now, we are spending upwards of $1.6 million to external agencies, which is something that we definitely have to look at. And we've had some challenges with recruitment, police, sanitation, automotive mechanics, and we're working to try to get those positions filled quickly. So the external agencies that I'm referring to is, if I could take your attention to the PowerPoint, because I know in your pack in the budget message I referenced the proposed FY 2015. None of the funding allocations have changed. We're asking that we fund all the external agencies at the same tune we funded them last year, with no decrease in external agency funding. General fund reserve, revenue is about $32 million, and that's what we're proposing. That is actually our revenue is it represents about it's like a 0.4. I'm sorry, our general fund expenditures is less than was last year. So this represents a 4.3% increase over last year. The general fund expenses, of course, as you can see, we're still pretty flat. Expenditures are meeting our revenue, and we're just making it happen. Sales tax, you can see that $14 million is what we've received in sales tax over last year of $13 million. MMA, our Water and Sewer Authority, we're taking in about 1218, and then of course when we expand out of the MMA, when we transfer it to the general funds, you'll see, and pay our debt service. That's what the breakout looks like. And what did we do in terms of meeting about the budget? One of the things that the City Council wanted me to do was meet with them quarterly to update you on the financial situation of the city. We met in October, January, March. I sat down with the department directors. It took about a couple of weeks to really get through departmental budgets, and then I had one-on-one meetings with the city council members to kind of gauge, what their interest would be. And as you know, we looked at a number of options individually, and so my job as the manager is to really bring all that to one focal point and make a recommendation based on, best management practice, staff input, public input, and of course, city council input, because this is what you're charged with. I'm charged with bringing you a balanced budget, and that's what I'm doing tonight. Capital outlay, we had several meetings with departments about what their requests were. That second column there is the request from the departments. The third column is what I'm recommending, and that's the breakout there. It's also contained in your proposed 15-16 budget, broken down by department. And our total capital outlay is about $1.5 million. Almost thought it wasn't there for a minute. I was getting kind of scared. Yeah, anyway, option one. I'm recommending option number one. Option number one is to set aside funding for employee compensation at about 2% for all employees, and to suspend the transfer of $300,000 from the general fund to economic development fund. This requires a change in City Ordinance 3887, and to reduce the employer contribution to the health insurance fund of about $550,000, and implement the Wildan utility study recommendations. Option two is to set aside funding for employee compensation, reduce the general fund reserve requirement from 13 to 10%, and implement the Wildan utility rate study recommendations. Subject to that concludes my presentation. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or whatever you want to do.
We have 4 that have signed up to speak, so at this time we are open up the public hearing, and we will recognize Mr. Fred Kaiser. Please give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Fred Kaiser, Muskogee Fire Department. My address is 224 Kent Drive in Muskogee. I'm our president of our Local 57. This is Brian Fuller. He's going to go over some stuff that's in the budget over our insurance that we need to address.
All right. Brian, if you want to go ahead, we'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Better? Yeah. Okay. Brian Fuller, 3200 South 55th Street East, here in Muskogee. Got some concerns. As most of you know, I'm past president. And also, when I was president, I sat on the insurance committee along with Pam and our HR director, Kelly, and a bunch of other employees. And I got a problem with taking $550,000 or reducing the payment of the insurance for the employees by the city by $550,000. That works out to be $50 an employee per month, if my calculation is right, or pay period. We have contracts that hasn't been brought up in negotiations at all about changing the insurance fund. Our contract says the employee or the employer will pay 100% of the employee's insurance. If the city's not paying the full amount into the insurance fund is going to be right back in the red as it was 3 years ago and in the past. At one time, we was over $1 million in the red. Were we not, Pam?
I don't think it was quite $1 million,
Or
but
close
we
to
were
it.
in the hole.
I know we spent a week up here either 3 or 4 years ago. When I say a week, I remember this clearly, as my wife does, because it was a week of my vacation. I spent 5 days in City Hall at meetings all day, and the council even had a council meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday morning over the insurance fund. That's how important this fund is. It stayed in the red. We changed our benefits. We changed our providers, and it's finally in the black. And reducing it by $550,000 by the city, to us is bad faith bargaining, if y'all agree to this. like I said, the contract says the employer pays 100%. That's not paying 100%. You're reducing it $50 a month, or $50 an employee, $550,000 a year of what you're paying into our fund. So, kind of violating the contract here. And if y'all decide to reduce it, why don't you reduce it for us as well on our families and on our side? If the city's going to give themselves a $50 credit, or take $50 or $550,000, whatever it works out to be, bring it our way too. But sitting here, this is a fun. I mean, there's a lot of us that put a lot of time into the insurance committee, that spend a lot of time that they don't get paid for working on the insurance. And to see it done this way is not good. And I'm just saying that we would not be in favor of a reduction of $550,000 a year, because the reductions I've seen in the past by this council, not necessarily you, but the city, if it was a reduction this year, it never came back, and it never came back, and it never came back. And this fund will be in the red, and I'll probably be retired but still have the insurance, but there'll be a committee of employees up here in the council trying to decide what they're going to do with a fund that's in the red, almost $1 million again. So I'm just saying we would be against that, and wish you all would reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Cummins.
Chris Cummings, 3005 Chickasaw Drive, Muskogee, Oklahoma. Mayor and council,
I'm sorry, who you representing, Chris?
the insurance committee. As the chair of the insurance committee, and knowing what the committee went through to bring the plan fund from $715,000 in the red in 2012 to approximately $1.5 million currently, I am opposed to this plan to reduce contributions. The committee realized that we could not keep operating in the negative numbers, and we took steps to find out why this happened and how to make the plan solvent again. We found that for quite a number of years previously, the plan had not had any kind of increase to either the employee or the city. While insurance rates typically increase year over year, ours wasn't, even though it was needed. This, coupled with several years of high claims, brought the fund into the negative. The committee recommended contribution increases for both employees and the city to begin moving the plan in a positive direction. The last planned contribution increase was in January of 2013. In 2013, the committee also researched and recommended leaving our longtime third-party administrator and moving to a new TPA. This introduced a new network of doctors based on the Blue Cross Blue Shield network, and increased the number of doctors available to employees. The discounts to the plan and to the employees went from an average of 33% with the old TPA to almost 50% now. As a result of the change in TPA and a couple of relatively normal claims years, our plan fund has gone from almost $750,000 in the hole to $1.5 million in the black. Our plan administrator does recommend a plan reserve of at least $3 million. Even though that sounds like an enormous amount of money, a bad plan year can erode that amount quickly. Our goal is to make sure the plan stays in the black so we don't have to depend on using the city funds or the city reserves to pay claims. I do know that claims will be paid regardless of the fund balance, but it will be paid out of general fund or out of reserve funds. So they'll be paid out of another fund that wasn't expecting it. When we have reached our recommended reserve amount, we can look at reducing contribution amounts. However, any discussion of reducing the contribution amounts needs to be backed with research showing the current healthcare cost trends, past claims experience, future claims projections, and possible impact to the plan caused by reducing the contributions. Any reduction in contributions should not be unilateral. If and when we look at reducing contributions, it must be kept in mind that the reductions need to be both to the employee and to the city, not just the city. Contrary to trends in the insurance industry, the committee has not had to recommend a contribution increase from either the city or the employee for the last 2 plan years. I'm not opposed to looking at reductions in the future when our fund plan is a bit stronger, but it needs to be carefully studied before implementation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Teresa Rullinger.
Teresa Rutlinger, 2500 Shelby Court. I'm in total agreement with Mr. Cummings. I don't think our employees should be treated as, I don't know, kind of as a Russian roulette. Health is very, very important, and health insurance, as you know, is very expensive when something does go wrong. If you've just got a $1.5 million right now for all the employees, you just need one or two people to have something catastrophic happen, and we're going to get wiped out in no time flat. I think you need at least a $3 million cushion. And I think it's very, very important. It's not fair for these employees for us to go and say, oh, we're having budget problems. Let's just go ahead and take away from the employees a little bit. That's not fair. That's their health. That's their livelihood. My other topic that I want to talk to is economic development money. Don't touch it. There's a reason that it was formed. And I don't think that we should be kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul and then hope that we have enough money later on to go and pay it back. I think maybe we need to be a little bit more astute on our spending. I know it's not going to help us at this point in time, but yes, we've accomplished a lot, but maybe we could have slowed it down just a bit, and instead of having 10 projects going on, maybe 5 projects would still be showing that we're doing something to the public, that we're progressing to the public. But we wouldn't be getting ourselves in this kind of a mess right now. Just more restraint on the spending. Don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Don't take the health insurance away from the employees. We need the economic development money to entice, some companies in. I'm not saying go hog wild. I think on the urban renewal, we've had the one company that we enticed, I guess, with that decided to go and come in. Now that they're establishing themselves, I don't think we're going to have to go and entice as many other companies in that particular location. And I think that will save you some money there, too. Thank you.
All right. At this point, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll open for any questions or comments from the council. Okay. Roy, what's next?
Well, I do want to say that this is just one of the, this is under the Municipal Budget Act, we're required to have one public hearing prior to the adoption. What we've set up this year is there's a public hearing that is occurring tonight, and then there will be another public hearing on Tuesday the 16th. And that will be the time on the special call agenda where the council will be able to adopt the budget resolutions for MMA, the Parking Authority, and the City Council. There's nothing required, no type of action required for tonight other than to hold the public hearing, which the council has done. They are, of course, free to discuss amongst themselves if they have any questions or concerns or any other direction to give the city manager prior to the next public hearing, which will be on Tuesday at 4 p.m.
Mr. Tucker, you might want to clarify for the public what is required of them if they decide they'd like to participate in the public hearing.
Under the rules of decorum, citizens wishing to speak on an agenda item will be given 5 minutes to address, and they will be given 5 minutes for the City Council to question them. In order to sign up, they will need to be at the front of the council chambers. Let's see, we're at 3:30, between 3:30 and 3:45. 15 minutes before the meeting is when the cutoff ends. Of course, they're free to sign up at the clerk's office any time prior to that meeting, but the cutoff does end at 3:45.
All right, seeing no other business, this meeting is adjourned.